Hi team, greetings everyone. In our previous session, we saw how to read a data from the Excel file and how to write the data into the Excel file, right? In today's session, we are going to see a new concept called as data providers. So, in order to understand this concept data providers, first let me take a scenario, right? Let me go to ShopperStack application. Here, this is the ShopperStack application, which is the welcome page, right? I'll just click on login button. Now, I am using these credentials, right? Now, I have three different credentials which are valid. Now, I want to check a scenario where I want to log in with user A credential, user B credential, and user C credential in a single script. In a single script, I want to verify whether I am able to log in with the credential of user A, user B, and user C, right? This is my scenario. Now, I have the three credentials with me, right? So this is my first credential, right? I will give my second credential. So I am just entering my second credential and I'll just enter the password as well. I'll just click on login. See, I'll just save this as well. So this is my user B credential, right? I will log out. Now again I will go to login page. This time I am going to add another one credential. As I told, I have three different credentials. Yes, user C at the rate hotmail. Let me change the password. Let me just click on login. See, I am able to log in with all the three credentials, right? I have three different credentials. I want to check all these three credentials are working properly or not, whether they are navigating me to the home page or not. I want to verify in one single script. This is my scenario, right? Let me just log out. Now, let me go to FireFlink platform. Since I am talking about login scenario, right? Let me go to login module, and here under shopper, I'll be adding an automation script. I'll just click on this add button, add automation script. This is TC004 underscore verify the user is able to log in with user A, B, and C credentials. So I have the user A, user B, and C credentials. I want to verify whether the user is able to log in with the three credentials. Means not at a time, sequentially, right? I'll just give the type as web. So here it is saying only name should be alphanumeric. Okay, I think I have given some. Yes, I have given some commas, right? It is not taking it. Let me remove the commas. Okay, A, B, and C. Fine. Now I'll just click on create. And in this module, if you can see, I have already added the precondition as close browser. So it is automatically reflecting the precondition, right? Now verifying the login scenario. So I have to navigate to login page. So I'll just click on this plus step. So I'll just say open ShopperStack and navigate to login page. This is my step group. I'll give the fail checkpoint and click on add. So this will navigate me to the login page. Once after navigating to the login page, I have to enter my username, password, and click on login button, right? So once after I do that, what is going to happen? It is going to navigate me to the home screen, home page, where I have to verify this home element to verify whether I am landing in the home page or not. So that is what we do, right? So here, what are the steps I am going to add here? Enter user. Okay, let me just log out first. Once after navigating to this login page, I'll be adding the steps like enter username, enter password, and click on login button, right? So these three steps I'll be adding. After adding these three steps, I'll be adding a verification step, right? Now I want to log in as user B. When I want to log in as user B, don't you think first I have to log out? Yes, I'll just click on this, it means account button, and I'll say log out. So I have to click on the account settings button and then I have to log out. Once I log out, where I am landing in the login page, right? In the login page, I have to click on this login in order to navigate to the login page, right? So here, what we have to do, again, we have to enter the user B credentials and then we have to click on login button. Here, if you notice something, don't you think I am repeating the same steps again and again? So here, what are the steps? Once I navigate to the login page, I have to enter this username, password and click on login. So once I click on login, I have to verify the home. And then I have to log out and then I have to go to the login page and then I have to do the same steps again and again. So here, don't you think the steps are repeated, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a iteration. I can say I'm going to add a loop here. So what is the loop? Instead of writing the same steps again and again, I will run the steps in the loop, right? So whenever I'm running the steps in the loop, I need to give the data, right? When I say I want to run the steps in the loop, I'm going to repeat the steps in the loop, but there is one problem. For each and every loop, the data will be same. No, right? First loop is what? I want to log in as user A. For that loop, I have to give the input as user A credential. For my second loop, I have to give user input as user B credentials. And for my third loop, I have to give the user C credentials. That is how it works, right? Now, for that only, we have a concept called as data providers. Now, before going to the data provider, now I have navigated to login page, right? So I told I want to start a iteration, right? Because from this step only, which step? Once I log out, see, once I navigate to the login page, these three steps are repetitive, right? Entering the username, entering the password, and click on login button. So my iteration will start with the entering the email ID, right? My iteration will start there. Now, if I go to FireFlink and if I click on this add button, so here what I have to do, I have to just type start iteration. See here, I'm getting a suggestion start iteration. I'll just click on this. Once I click on this, what it is asking for, give me data provider name. Did I add any data provider as of now? No, we didn't add any data provider. Let us understand how to add the data provider. Fine. Now let me just cancel this. So data provider is nothing but I am going to store the different data in an Excel sheet and that data will be given as an input to the data provider. Right. For that, first thing is what I have to do. Go to our local machine, create a Excel file with the data, right? So I'm creating an Excel file. So here I am going to store the title. So what is the title? First in this column I will be storing all the username and in this column I will be storing all the password, right? So here I'll just say email and here I'll just say password. So these are the headings of the particular information. So what is my first email ID? a@gmail.com. My second email ID is this one. And my third email is the so I have entered all three email IDs in the same fashion. I will enter the password of each and every email ID. Second password and third password. So now I have successfully stored the email ID and password of three different users. Right? Let me save this. Let me save it in the desktop. And say user credentials. And click on save. Right? Now the Excel file is saved. How do I upload this Excel file to my FireFlink platform? I have to go to my FireFlink platform, go to test data. I already have a folder ready. Now all I have to do is upload the Excel file. Just click on this plus, add file, choose file, select the file. I have kept it in desktop. I'll just select the file. Yes, this is the file. Open, upload. See, the file is successfully uploaded. Now, let me just go to test development. Let me go to that particular script. And here, see, this is a different script, right? Let me just navigate back. Let me go to that login script. Yeah, this is the one. So here I have written the step for opening the shopper stack and navigating to login page, right? As I told you, we have to add data provider. How do we add? We can go to this settings. We can open this drop down and we have something called as data providers. Let me just click on it. Once I click on it, it is giving me click plus data provider to start adding data providers. Let me just click on this. And here I have to give a name for this particular data provider. I'll say user credentials. And here the file name. Once I click on it, if you can see, two files are suggesting. And which is the file which is holding the data provider data? This user credential. Select this file. And here observe, sheet name is not selected, right? Once I select the sheet name, all these details will be auto-filled, right? I'll just click on the sheet name. It is automatically reading the sheet in that particular Excel file. Once I select the sheet 1, we can see these data are filled automatically. It is reading that particular Excel sheet and it is saying there is data present from row 1 to row 3. So it is not taking the row 0. Why? Because in FireFlink, once you give the Excel sheet as a data provider, 0th row will be taken as a heading. And that heading will be kept as the variable name here. So here what it is going to do, it is going to create a data provider variable and it is going to take the name from the 0th row. So it will read the data from first row to last row, right? So here if you can see in this Excel sheet, in the 0th row, email ID and password is there. It is taking this email ID and password as a variable name and it is reading the data from first row to third row, right? Now say for example, you are storing a data here by skipping one of the shell. You are adding one more data here for the data provider. I am saying this data will not be considered. Why? Because when there is a empty shell, it is the meaning that is the last data. The previous one is the last data. So here if you are storing a data like this data is not considered because this data is present after an empty shell. So if there is an empty shell, it is meaning that the before data is the last data. So make sure whenever you are going to store the data provider data, your 0th row should be the title and the other data should be sequential. There should be no gap, right? Now, if you can see, it is reading the data from first row to third row. Since only 3 data are there, if I have 10 data, it will read the data from first row to 10th row, right? Now, 2 variables are created. One is email, one is password, right? Now, if I scroll down, we have data provider type as well. So, one is including pre and post condition, one is excluding pre and post condition. Since there is a post condition in this particular script which I have created, what I will do, I'll go with including pre and post condition. And once I select including pre and post condition, if you can see, all iteration as one script and each iteration as one script. I want to run this particular script as only one iteration, means only one script, right? So I want all the iteration to happen in one script. So I'll keep this particular option, all iterations as one script, right? Let me just click on create. Now the data provider is added. Let me go to the automation steps. So after logging into this, means navigating to the login page, what I have to do, I have to start the iteration. Start iteration. So once I click on this NLP, it is asking for data provider. Did I add the data provider to the script? Yes. Now if you click on this down arrow button, you will be getting the data provider name which you gave. So I gave user credential. The same is reflecting here. Select this, click on add. So once I add it, if you can see, start iteration using user credentials data provider, end iteration for user credential data provider. So 2 NLPs are added. In between these 2 NLPs, what are the steps is going to be added? Those steps will be iterated, right? Now this particular step group is present outside this particular iteration. So this particular step group will not be iterated. The steps which I am going to add inside these 2 NLPs will be iterated, right? So I'll just click on this start iteration plus button. So what is the iteration starting point? I have to enter input into element. And what is the input that I have to give? I'm not going to give the input. I have to read the data from the data provider, right? If you give the dollar symbol and if you scroll down to the last, you'll be having a separate variable called as data provider variable. So I want to enter this data provider variable email and into which element? Email ID text field, right? In login page. Let me select this element, give the if else checkpoint and let me just click on. Now, once after I enter the email ID, what I have to do? I have to enter the password. Click on this, enter input into element. This time, what is the input? The password. Dollar symbol. Scroll down to the last. You have user credential password. Select this, and element is nothing but password text field in the login page. Select this, give the if fail checkpoint, and click on add. So once after I enter this, I have to click on login button. Click on element. So what is the element? Login button in login page, right? This is my element. Give the if fail checkpoint and click on add. So once after I do these three steps, what I have to do? I have to verify whether I am landing in the home screen or not. Let me just click on this plus button. I'll just say display. Verify if element is displayed. What is the element I have to search for? Home link. See, this is the element. Select this. And this is a verification NLP which will return as a boolean value. Capture the boolean value with a variable. So I'll just use this displayed. Give the if else checkpoint and click on add. Now these are the steps which is going to be iterative, right? Now what is going to happen? It is going to navigate to the login page and the iteration will start. It will start entering the first email ID and password and click on login button and it verify whether home link is displayed or not. So once after my fifth step is done, my iteration will start again, right? Now once after my fifth step is done, which page I will be in? I will be in the login page, right? I will be in the login page. Once the fifth step is over, again the iteration will start from the first step. It will try to enter the email ID into the email ID text field. But as of now, am I in the email ID? Means am I in the login page? No, right? After the fifth step is over, I will be landing in the home page. Now, in order to repeat the iteration, what I have to do? I have to be in the login page. Am I right? Because when the fifth step is over, I will be landing in the home page. So I want to navigate to the login page from this home page in order to repeat the iteration, right? Because the first step of iteration is nothing but enter email ID. But here in the home page, do I have any email ID text field to enter? No, right? I have to add still few more steps to navigate myself to the login page. So what are the steps I have to add? I have to click on this account settings and I have to click on this logout. And once I log out, am I going to login page? No, I am going to welcome page. I have to click on this login button and then I will be in the welcome page, right? So few steps I have to add to repeat the iteration. So for that, if you can see, once I log in, right, I have to capture this particular element and I have to capture this particular logout, right? Let me capture these two elements using FireFlink client. Let me go to FireFlink client. Let me go to locator finder. And now let me go to the home screen. And here if you can see, I have this account settings. I will just start recording, place the cursor, tap on it, right? Now I'll stop the recording. I'll just click on it. Now I'll get the logout, right? Start recording, place the cursor, click on it, right? These two elements are captured. Now, once after I log out, I'll be navigating to the welcome page where I have already captured the login button. So that I don't need to capture again. Now what I will do, I'll just move these elements to the repository. So here if you can see, it is taking the name as K. So I'll give it as account settings. Account settings. And here it is nothing but the link and logout, I'll give it as link. So I'll just move these elements. And these two elements belongs to home page, right? Let me expand the tree structure, select home, select and move. This will be moved to the repository, right? Now I have the elements. What I will do, let me go to FireFlink. And here, once after I verify the home link is displayed, what I have to do, click on account settings. Click on element. So what is the element? Account settings. See, this is the element. Let me give the if else checkpoint. Let me click on add. And here, after clicking on it, I have to click on logout button. Click on element. What is the element? Logout button. See, this is the element. So once I click on the logout button, what is going to happen? It is going to navigate me to the welcome page. There, what I have to do, click on login button again. Click on login button in welcome page. This is the element. I'll give the if else checkpoint, click on add. So once I click on login button, what is happening? It will navigate me to the login page. Now I can start with my next iteration, right? So next iteration, again, it will start entering the user B credential, means user B email ID, user B password, click on login button. It will verify whether I'm landing in the home page or not. And it will click on the account settings, it will log out and it will navigate to the welcome page where it will click on login button. Again, I'll be landing in the login page. Again, my iteration will start. My user C credential will be entered now. User C email ID, user C password, and it will click on login button and it will navigate to the home page. So this iteration is going to happen properly now, right? Now, if you can see, first step is open Shopper Stack and navigate to login page. And I have written these steps inside the iteration. If not, I am not using an iteration. Don't you think we have to write these steps again and again? So if you can see, there are 7 steps inside this iteration. If I am not using the iteration, 7 into 3, 21 times I have to write the same steps. Right? So what I will do, I will run this particular script and check the execution fashion. Right? I will go to quick run settings to make sure my client is selected. See, my client is only selected. And let me check the delay between steps. 2 seconds delay I have given in order to see the execution properly. Let me go to FireFlink client and let me go to control panel and see here all my ports are in stop condition. Right? I will minimize this and I will click on run. So it is saying awaiting client status. Let me sync the status. It is saying running. So it should trigger the execution. We will see the execution whether it is going in the same fashion or not. So the browser is opened. It is maximizing the browser. So it is navigating to the login page. Now it has to enter the user A credentials. See, this is user A credential which is entering as of now. It has to click on login button. It has to verify whether home link is displayed or not, and then it has to log out now. See, it is logging out. It has to click on login. Now it has to enter the user B credential. It is entering user B credential now. Click on login. It has to verify the home. It has to click on that account settings and then it has to click on logout. So now let me go and check in the FireFlink platform whether the execution is still running or not. So the execution is still running. Let us wait. See, the browser automatically closed, right? Let me just sync the status because what I have given post condition as must execute, right? So I'll just sync the status. See, it is getting failed. Once I click on this failed status and let me go to that particular script. So here if you can see, we can see the iteration level result, right? My first step is getting passed, which is nothing but the step group. If I expand this particular iteration, my second iteration is getting failed, right? Now my first iteration is getting passed. If you can see, it is entering the first email username and password, right? Now if I scroll down, this is my second iteration. In my second iteration, it is failing to click on the account settings button, right? Now let me just click on this failed status. And here if you can see, it is able to locate the element, but it is not able to click on the element. Okay. Now I'll just click on this download screenshot. The screenshot is downloaded. Let me open this. Okay, the element is visible. Still it is saying it is not able to click on it. Okay. Now what I will do, I will check the locator. I'll go to that script. So here I have to go to that particular step. click on account settings, right? Let me edit this element and let me take this particular locator, Control C. Okay. Now let me go to ShopperStack platform. Let me log in as user B. Login. So this is the element, right? I'll just inspect this element. I'll just paste the locator. So here if you can see, this locator is not working for this particular element here. It is not giving me 0 out of 0 because I didn't capture this element. I was capturing the account settings from the previous account. So here what I will do, I'll just use the account settings. So here in this locator, I'm not going to use the entire text. I'll be using the only account settings text. So when I give account settings only, it is locating the element properly. Right? Now what I will do, I'll just copy this locator. Let me go to the FireFlink platform. So instead of this locator, I'll remove this and I will give a locator which I have given. So the same locator, I have removed some part of it so that it is identifying all the account settings icon in different accounts, right? So this is nothing but the XPath and it is a static one. Let me update the same. Now I'll click on update, right? So here what I will do, let me run this particular script once again. So I'll just go to run. So it is saying initializing execution. Let me sync the status. So it is initialized. So once it is initialized, it will be awaiting for the client status and then it will start the running. So it is initialized as of now. We have to wait for the execution to be triggered. See, it is running now. My browser is opening. So it has to navigate to ShopperStack platform, and in ShopperStack, it has to navigate to login page. So again, the iteration is going to happen. We will just watch the execution. So it has to enter the user EA credential. Again, the iteration is starting from the first. User EA credential has been entered. It has to click on that profile account settings, click on logout, click on login. Now user B credentials. See, user B credential has been entered. Click on login. It has to click on the account settings now. See, now it is clicking properly. Click on logout. Again, click on login. Email ID of user C. Click on login. Click on account settings. Click on logout. Again, we'll click on login. So now my iteration is over. It is going to close the browser. See, now the browser is closed. If I sync the status in the execution dashboard, now the same script is getting passed. I'll just click on this passed status. Let me go inside the script. Sorry, result. Here if you can see, this is the first step, and here if I expand this, I can see iteration level result. When I expand the first iteration, what is the data that had been entered? User A credential, k@gmail.com and the respective password, right? And when I expand the second iteration, if you can see, user B credential has been entered, right? And if I expand my third iteration, user C credential has been entered. So here we can see the iteration level result. See here, I am avoiding 21 steps by writing only 7 steps inside the iteration. So here the 7 steps are repeated for 3 different times. Why? Because in the data provider, how many data I was storing? I was storing 3 different datas, right? What if I am storing 5 different datas? The 7 steps will be repeated for 5 times. Depending upon the number of data you are going to give here, the iteration will be happening in the same count. So since I have given 3 data, iteration is happening 3 different times, right? Now let me go to test development and let me go to the same script, and here let me go to settings and let me go to data providers, and here I will just click on this edit button and I will scroll down. We saw including pre and post condition, right? Now I will give excluding pre and post condition. So when I say excluding pre and post condition, my post condition will not be considered, right? I'll just click on update. Now I'll go to automation steps. So here this post condition will not be executed, right? So here if I click on this run button, I'll just go with run button. The same script is going to get executed, but my post condition should not be executing since I gave excluding post condition, pre-post condition. The execution is going to happen in the same fashion, but it should not close the browser after the completion of iteration, because in the data provider I have mentioned excluding pre and post condition. So user A credential now. It has to log out. User B credential now. It has to log out. User C credential now. Now the iteration should go like it should log out and it should navigate to the login page. So it is navigated, right? Now if you notice, still it is closing the browser. I didn't close the browser, still it is closing the browser. So why it is closing the browser? I have given excluding pre and post condition, but still it is closing the browser. Why? Because, let me sync the status. Let me go to that particular script. Let me go to the post condition. Let me click on the post condition. Can you see? Must execute. So I have mentioned must execute, whatever condition it may be. This post condition should be executing. If you are giving must execute, this is going to anyway close the browser, right? If you disable this, now when you run this particular script will not be, browser will not be closed. Why? Because this post condition is not now must execute. So even though I am saying exclude pre-post condition in my data provider, it is still going to execute this post condition when you give it as must execute, right? If you are disabling this, then it will not close the browser, fine? So this is how we use the data provider concept. So data provider is nothing but when you have a repetition of same steps, but each and every repetition you want to change the data. In that fashion, what you can do, you can use this data provider concept. Store all the all the different data in an Excel sheet and use the iteration in your script and pass the data from the data provider, right? Now let me take a different scenario. We saw login scenario, right? Let me take a different scenario. So once after I log in as a user, say for example, I want to search for different products. What I will do, I'll search for men. So I'll click on the search button, and what I have to do, I have to verify whether I'm landing in the welcome men page or not, right? In the same fashion, I'll go to again search field, woman, click on search. So I will be landing in the woman page. I'll just enter kids, click on search. I will be landing in which page? Kids page. So here, don't you think the steps, entering the input and clicking on search button, these steps are repetitive and verifying the page is repetitive. Enter input, click on the element and verify the element or verify the page. That is repetitive. Don't you think, can we use it in the iteration, right? First thing is I have to log in as a user. So that will be my first step. Once after I log in as a user, what are the iteration steps? Inside the iteration, give the 3 steps. Enter input, click on element and verify the element. These 3 steps will be repetitive. So what I will do, I will put it inside a iteration. When I put it inside a iteration, I need to have a data provider, right? And data provider should be added to that respective script. So what I have to do, I have to go to test development. Since I am talking about searching different products, I will create a new module, search, and keep the parent module as root module. Select this, click on create. See, search module is created, right? Now I have to create an automation script here. So I'll just say TC001 verify the user is able to search for different products. Let me give the type as web and let me click on create. See, the automation script is created. What I have to do? I have to first log in as a user. I'll just say open shopper, navigate to home page, which will navigate me as a user into the Shopper Stack platform. So after this, I have to start adding the iteration steps. For that, what is the NLP? Start iteration. And before adding the start iteration, what we have to do? We have to load the data provider. And how do we do that? Go to Excel file, store all the data. In my case, I'll store the data like products. So the products is the heading, and down I'll be entering the name, men, women, and kids. Right? These are the products I'll be entering. Right? So these are the different inputs I want to pass in the iteration. Right? So I will save this Excel file. I will upload this Excel file to the test data. Once after it is uploaded, what I have to do? I have to come to this particular script, go to the settings, go to the data provider, and I have to upload the data provider. Once the data provider is uploaded, I'll come to this automation steps and I'll start adding the data provider in this NLP start iteration. Once I add it, I can start writing the steps. Which are the steps? Enter input into text field, click on search button, verify the element. So these steps will be repetitive in this scenario. So here, how many steps I will be writing? I will be writing only 3 steps inside the iteration, right? So, but how many times the iteration is going to happen? 3 different times, because 3 different data is there, right? So wherever the scenario, the steps are same, but they are repeated, and for each repetition, the data is different. In that case, you can go for the data provider concept, right? So in today's session, we have seen data provider concept. We will see the next topic in our next session. Thank you.